Hello, welcome to It's Complicated. My name is Carlos, and today we're going to be talking about this really awesome watch by Christoper Ward, which is the C1 Moonglow, one of the first watches bringing a moon phase complication to the entry-level affordable luxury market. So this is the C1 Moonglow by Christoper Ward. This is an amazing Swiss watch with a beautiful moon phase complication. It's a 4 Hz movement. It has a beautiful Elabore movement, and overall it's a joy to wear. With that said, before we get too deep into the watch review, I do want to thank the folks over at Christoper Ward who were nice enough to let me borrow this watch for the review. I do not get to keep this watch. This watch will be going back to the folks at Christoper Ward as soon as this review is over. But let me assure you that the guys at Christoper Ward have absolutely no input on my review, and what you will be hearing will be 100% my opinions, which I hope you will find honest and fair. So Christoper Ward's a really interesting watch company. Just a few years ago, it really would have been considered more of a micro brand than a full-blown Swiss watch brand. But in the last couple of years, they've really been focusing on introducing really amazing complications on top of prefabricated movements. Some of these complications are this moon phase that you will be seeing in this watch, but there's also complications such as the auditory chiming complication on the bel canto, which is by far the most affordable auditory complication watch with an automatic movement. I think it's pretty fair to say that Christoper Ward has quickly moved into being one of the biggest competitors at the entry-level market of Swiss watchmakers. So with all of that said, let's see what's in the box. So one of the things that I really like about the packaging on these Christoper Ward watches is that it really aligns up with what I think of when I think of a luxury watch experience or simply a luxury product. When we remove the cardboard sleeve, we see that we have a really beautiful wooden box that has this really beautiful hard cover that has soft touch material, which I'm assuming is either leather or a leatherette type of material on top of it. When we remove the leather shell to display the actual watch, we see 2 envelopes inside the box. One of them hosting our warranty card and another hosting a very nice Christoper Ward branded cleaning cloth. So before I get too deep into the fit and finish of this watch, I do want to mention that the particular watch that I got is a review unit, and I am not the first person to review this particular watch. This means that by the time the watch got to me, it definitely had some pretty heavy and rough handling. Some of the finishing that you're gonna see here is not really representative of what you're gonna get from Christoper Ward. Who knows how many people have reviewed this watch, and not everybody treats these watches nearly as nicely as I treat them out of respect for the people that let me borrow them. Just keep that in mind as we talk about fit and finish. The overall fit and finish of this watch is really nice. However, the finishes are for the most part pretty simple for the price. The watch, I would say, is mostly a polished watch with very light brushing just on the sides of the case, and interestingly really only covering about half of the side, being that half of the side sort of tapers down into the case to give the watch the illusion of being much thinner than it actually is, and that illusion actually works pretty nicely. Overall, I think that the case is very beautiful. This doesn't have any bevels on the edges, but the edges have been rounded really nicely to give the overall watch a very soft and elegant feel. And the actual transitions where there is that little bit of brushing to the polish are actually razor sharp and really clean, which is very nice. On the case, you will find a very nice signed Christoper Ward crown. The crown, for the most part, is very nice. It is a little bit small for my hands, but I have big hands, but I do think that it fits the aesthetic that Christoper Ward is going for, which is that more sort of classy, vintagey kind of case and feel that sort of makes that dress watch aesthetic work. The dial on this watch is probably one of the most interesting features of this watch, as the entire dial is really used to showcase that hero complication, which is the moon phase, right? The entire theme of the quote-unquote Moonglow. So I would say that the first layer of the dial is actually the moon phase discs that holds the 2 moons that will rotate to show you like the current moon phase for the day, along with having this kind of 3-dimensional, incredibly detailed printing of the moon, which is fully loomed You also get these tiny little stars to sort of sparkle the sky, which at first I thought was gonna be kind of hokey, but like now that I see it up close in execution, it's actually quite nice and it works really well. The next thing that you will see, it's kind of like the sapphire smoky glass that has been put on top of the moons to actually cover the moons as they rotate to make the actual sort of display of the moon phase work, which has the advantage of making the moon phase work, but give you sort of an extra invisible moon that will glow in the dark, giving the watch a little bit more life under low light situations. After that, we have a really nice outer ring that is a combination of hour markers that have been overlaid with printed minute markers, followed by a white ring that has a little red marker that will rotate around to highlight the date number on the farthest outside most track. I don't know, that's kind of like the best way that I can describe it. Overall, the dial is very beautiful, and the double dome sapphire glass with the insane amount of anti-reflective coating just make the whole watch have absolutely no distortion, and it just makes it really clear and really readable. The last thing that you will see on the dial of the watch will be the Christoper Ward branding alongside automatic and the name of the caliber that's inside. So one of my favorite things in this watch is definitely the case back. Not only does it show the beautiful Selita movement that they've used to add this moon phase module complication on top of, but they've chosen what I would describe as an Elabore grade Selita movement. And this means that when you look at this movement and you look at a regular Selita 2090 or a Selita 200, you will basically get way more decoration in this one, and it is very visible. It is a lot more polished. It has ring decorations and machine decorations built into the movement. And so looking at the back of the movement, you can definitely tell that you have a higher grade movement. For a second, I actually thought that this might be a chronometer grade movement. However, it's not. Just know that it has all of the beautiful decorations that you usually see on these chronometer grade movements. The other thing that I really like about the case back is they have the sort of holder ring for the movement exposed, and they've also chosen to polish and kind of show this. And I feel like being able to see the actual ring that holds the movement is something that adds a lot more visual interest to the back, and it sort of adds another surface that has an interesting finish that also complements all of the really beautiful decoration that's gone into the movement. So this particular watch doesn't come in a bracelet that I'm aware of. If you look at the Christoper Ward website, there might be some that come with a bracelet, but this particular one, being that it's a dress watch, comes with this beautiful, super plush and soft leather band. This is definitely one of the most beautiful and comfortable leather bands that I've worn. And one of the things where I really sort of feel like it's super high quality is when we look at the stitching. The stitching, when you look at it in the macro, this is just a beautiful, thick, clean, and precise stitching across the straps. The other thing that's really great is the clasp. The clasp has a combination of polished surfaces and a little bit of satin right in the center of the clasp. So one of the things that I really like about this clasp design is that it definitely feels a lot more luxurious and looks a lot more luxurious than pretty much any other clasp that I've seen at this particular price range. One of the details that I really love is that this puts this strap that has the holes and the tail on the inside of the buckle, which basically means that you will not have any kind of dragging strap as you wear this watch, which just makes it look super clean, super high end, and yeah, it just feels great. So now we're gonna get into the nerdy part of the review, which is the accuracy of the watch. So I do test this watch across 6 different positions. Across these 6 different positions, we had the slowest position was -2 seconds per day. The fastest position was +6 seconds a day, giving us about an overall delta of 9 seconds per day from the slowest to the fastest position, which is not the best Selita movement, but it's still pretty good. It would be great if we would have gotten like a 6 or something like that, but 9 is still really, really good. The average time difference per position per day is about 1.8 seconds per day. So this is kind of like what you expect the accuracy to be, a little bit under 2 seconds per day, which is really great. Obviously, that's under normal conditions. Once again, this is not a COSC certified movement, so this doesn't necessarily mean that it's always going to run COSC. The other thing that's kind of interesting is that the standard deviation across all positions, so this meaning like the difference across positions, not so much the average time loss across positions, was about 2.9 seconds per day, which is still pretty accurate for the most part. So I would definitely give the accuracy of this Elabore grade a thumbs up. It would be amazing if for the price you got a cost chronometer grade movement, but this is still a pretty decent movement, and I love all the extra decoration that you get. So this is definitely a thumbs up for me. All right, so we just had the nerdy part of the review, so now we're gonna get into the uncomfortable part of the review, and that's talking money. Nobody likes to talk about money, but we kind of have to do that. So the MSRP for this watch on the Christoper Ward website is $2,325, and that's a lot of dollars. Unfortunately, Christoper Ward, unlike other Swiss brands, they do all of the retail part themselves. But as far as I know, there's no ADs that really carry Christoper Ward. So you're either going to be purchasing directly from their showroom, their brick and mortar, or you're going to be purchasing online. One of the downsides of this is that I'm not sure that Christoper Ward offers a lot of discounts, and because they don't really work with an AD network, as far as I know, there's not really a gray market for Christoper Ward watches. Unfortunately, this is going to be one of those watches where the MSRP for a new one is going to be the MSRP. All right, so let's wrap this video up with likes and dislikes. Overall likes for me is the wearing experience. The wearing experience for this watch is phenomenal. Like, to be honest, I'm not much of a dress watch, but I've been wearing this watch for about a week, and I've really just enjoyed it with with jeans and a t-shirt, and just wearing it to run errands. And you know, the watch feels great on the wrist, the leather's great, the case is great, the giant moon face. While it's a dressy, elegant watch, the size of the moon face brings a lot of character to the watch, and I think while it doesn't make it a sports watch, it does make it fun enough to where I don't mind wearing it every day, and I don't necessarily feel like I'm underdressed or overdressed with this watch when I'm just running around in shorts and a t-shirt, like doing stuff outside. The wearing experience has just been so phenomenal, and it's so fun to look at it, and I've really enjoyed it. The other like that I've had is the moon face is phenomenal. Like, it's super cool to see it. It's super cool to see it in the dark. The Moonglow really does a Moonglow. I mean, it lives up to its name in that way, and it's something that's really neat. The last two likes for me is going to be the clasp. As I said, the clasp, it's a great clasp. This is the best clasp that I've seen on a $2,000 strapped watch ever. And maybe there's other people that make a better clasp, but I haven't seen it. If you have seen it, that's another option to leave a comment and let me know who makes a better clasp than this, because this is a very, very nice clasp. And lastly, the movement. The movement is just beautiful. This is the first time that I've held a Selita Elabore grade movement in my hand, and comparing it to just like the base Selita movements, I mean, it's a big step up in decoration. Like, they are much more beautiful to look at, and it does make the entire watch feel more luxurious. So with the likes out of the way, let's go ahead and get into dislikes. So I basically only have 2 comments to make on this watch, which are not really dislikes, but I would say they're kind of pet peeves. One of them is the date. Like, I just don't like the way the date is implemented. It just doesn't work with my eyes. I think that aesthetically is pleasing enough. The date numbers are so small, and the mark is kind of hard to see, so it's just it's not a very readable date. With that said, I do think that people who are not big fans of dates on watches will love the way that this date is implemented, because you basically like can't see it, especially if you have bad eyes. Or if you can see it, it really sort of blends into the design where you have to look very hard at the watch to actually be able to read the date. So I think that this could be good for some people, but for me, I would like to see a more normal kind of date complication that's like framed and it's always in the same place, and it's a little bit easier to read. And my only other sort of note, honestly, is the price. When you look at what the watch offers, the whole package, I do think $2,325 is a fair price. So this is not a matter of, does the watch offer enough value for the price? I think that the value is definitely there. However, that's a very competitive price segment. $2,325. I mean, that is getting really close to Longines, to high-end watches from Mito and Tissot and other Swiss brands. You might be able to find some column wheel chronographs, kind of entry-level stuff around that $2,000 mark. It's just so competitive competitive that I kind of wish that for this particular watch, they would have come in a little bit lower. I think that, to be completely honest, this watch at around $1,600, it's a no-brainer. It's an amazing watch, especially if you're looking for something more elegant, and especially if you're looking for a moon phase. Now, if you're dead set on a moon phase, there's no argument that this is the most affordable automatic moon phase that you're gonna get. So that's where I struggle, is that there's a lot of watches in that particular price market that you can get even other offerings from Christoper Ward. You know, in many ways, if you look at something like Christoper Ward the 12th, that is one of the most beautiful designs that came out in the last couple of years. That's cheaper than this particular watch, and that's a sports watch that has a very beautiful bracelet that you can get a version that is chronometer grade. It doesn't have a moon phase, right? You're not getting that high horology complication, but it's still a beautiful watch underneath that. So I don't know, you know, for the price, I feel like it's still a little bit high. You really have to be looking for a moon phase. So I would love to see the price come down in the future. That would definitely make me want to buy one, because I do find this watch beautiful and I would love to own it. It's undeniable that the Christoper Ward C1 Moonglow is a beautiful watch, and that even at its expensive price, it still packs a ton of value. So let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think that I'm crazy and that $2,325 is an excellent price for this watch? Like, is this how much you would pay for this watch? How much are you looking forward to getting yourself one? Or do you agree with me that at this particular price range, maybe there's other watches that would grab your attention first? If that's the case, let me know what watches you get at that $1,500 to $2,300 price range. What are the watches that you're really looking forward to getting? Let me know in the comments. You know, guys, I always take the time to try to answer all of the comments, so I really appreciate when you guys take the time. But anyways, with all of that said, this has been the video. This has been my review. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you guys on the next video. See ya.